form your own, or I have not created my own. I'll just be honest. I'm one of those who I'm like, yeah, all right, I found one that's got computer terms on it. Let's do this one. Or like I said the other day, the math. All right. So here is.
It's actually web testing down there.
Not yet.
So you got to be down here.
Yeah. So check it out. So the M&M is your friend. If you have the M&M to your left, it'll be perfect. Trust me, it'll work.
Oh, girl, I didn't want to do this. Okay. It will ask you for the code, and so right here is your PIN code, 710853.
It will also ask you for your username. Those are displayed on screen.
Yeah.
So we say keep them appropriate. I normally have them do their first name and something, and they can add to it.
My group, mine love to get into this part of it. Like several of them, I have asked them make sure it's appropriate, but it's so funny. Like I had one the other day, gamer girl 12, and I'm like, okay, so who is this gamer girl? And they all get excited about showing who's who.
And you can see over here it'll tell me the number of players. So right now we've got 8. We got a lot more of you out there. Please log in quickly.
Sorry.
Who's that?
Good play.
I don't have nothing. Go right ahead. I'm enjoying watching.
I'm going to start the game. We'll start with 9 players. There are 10 questions. When you know your answer, it will let you log it in.
It will also, you can find, some of them have like 4 minutes, some of them have 15 seconds.
Okay, I can't see those.
It's on your screen, but it's also up here.
All I can see is this.
Oh,
Yeah, all
okay.
theirs are, it's just
Oh,
color.
oh, okay.
Oh, we have to read it in the way.
See the questions.
All right, so time's up. Shows you the correct answer.
So I have to read it up there and then do it here?
Or in my class, I've been telling mine, I'm like, quiet guys, and I'll read it to them, but they all get excited and get in.
And so when it's done, then you can pause it, talk about the subject, what it is, define it, go over the literacy part. If there's math, you can do that as well. So next question, we're going to go quick.
Yeah.
And there's
see
your score.
here, yeah, and they will get into this.
That's right.
For bragging rights. Yeah. Sorry.
It's this guy. No.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was like, oh, God. All right. So an associate's degree is earned after 2 years after medical school, 2 years at a community college, 4 years at a medical school, or 4 years at a university. And it plays this nice little music for you, too.
Yay, everybody got it right.
Now,
Good job.
Can you make your own questions?
Yes. Yes, you can make it your own. There's public ones, which I think you pulled a public one, didn't
Is
you?
there an advantage to answering it fast?
Yes, you
Yes.
get quicker. You get more points.
Okay, here we go. So I could write my own?
Yes. Yes, you can create your own, or there's a search bar. Afterwards, we might want to tweet. Yeah, thank you.
We're going to play a couple more questions.
Okay.
So,
But I do need to. Second place, High Rock Girl.
uh-oh, got one wrong. So this is really good when we're talking about career and jobs. What is an associate degree? What's a master? And I review this, and then what you discover is there's additional questions on this same subject. And so by me reviewing, if they miss it, I go, wait a minute, didn't we just talk about this? Were you listening? What's your comprehension? And so it ties in really well. So I'm going to go through this quick. There are only 10 questions. So you guys answer it. As soon as you're done, I'm going to click next.
Gets to work. Oh, a person with good work ethic gets to work right away. Does all the work to the best of their ability. Gets to work on time, or all of the above.
I'm in sixth place now. So you're in second place. Our girl
Got a
in
new
first
leader.
place.
All right. An introvert prefers loud, noisy parties, quiet, predictable environments, chaos and confusion, or crowds of noisy people.
This question's been really nice because I say, okay, now what's the opposite of this?
Then you can
And
talk
there's a
about the
follow-up
extrovert.
question to that.
And here it is. Extroverts prefer quiet times without people, no surprises, reading a book, or noisy social environments.
I'm an introvert.
Oh, I'm so an extrovert. My teacher used to sit me outside the hall all the time because I wanted to talk.
Art girl, you're killing it. Doing good.
A master's degree is earned after a bachelor's degree. True or false? And now I feel like Vanna White.
There you go.
Yeah.
Doing it.
Spend a lot of time in the bar playing trivia.
I think our girl knew how to play this before me.
A license is required to practice medicine, nursing, pharmacy, all of the above.
Shoot. 71 points behind up there.
Yeah.
I'm the one that clicked one. I jumped the gun.
A certificate takes less education and training than a license.
For us,
False or true?
yes.
Oh, that was terrible. Yes, and it will let you randomize your questions and
Okay.
answers.
And so they just discovered the hard way. I randomized the answers, so it changes it for each person.
That was not right.
Oh, I know. But on this one here, for CTE, guess what? At the high school, you can earn dozens of certificates, but you do that in a semester or two, so obviously less than a license.
I mean, this would be a great way for you to use credit.
All right. The education needed for a healthcare career may be any of the above, a bachelor's degree, an associate's degree, or a master's degree.
It is.
We used to have so much fun with the clickers. We used
Yes.
to fight over them.
Yeah.
Click them
And our girl wins. Here's your piece of candy. Here's your reward that you get.
Here's your bragging rights. I'm always like, whoop.
Nice.
And then you also have an option down here. If this is a public one, they can provide some feedback, so you can do that.
I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Art girl.
So, show us how do you go in
Okay,
and
right,
set
okay,
up-
right here.
Here's the intro to it. This is when you have to sign up, so you got to have a username and a password.
It is free.
This is your screen that you do it. I simply type in career, and I chose school. The options under here, university, business, training, event, social. Okay. Up here, you'll notice this is public. So this is where I went to choose mine. Over here are my own that you could create and be able to do that. And then all you do is select from here. The other one I did was I simply looked at jobs, and it gave me the one with Chinese and some other things that make them think.
So there's
All you
a
do is
new one
simply-
that we could use.
Yes. I have not made my own. I've been
So-
using public ones every time, and
Yes.
I've been playing it quite a bit.
You log in, you search, you pick the one you want, you click play.
And
And
here's
then-
where it lets you decide if you want to randomize your answers or your questions. I display my pen throughout the whole thing because sometimes they'll accidentally log out.
So you can select some things
Would
to
you
make it
go,
a little more interesting.
go back into the public and who's right up here? Let me just show you.
I like that.
Right up here on the when you first get in here on the featured, that's the most popular right now. Like at that day, that's where I found the Halloween math. I didn't even type in math. I just went to the featured and down through right there it is. The Halloween math fun is the one I went to the other day. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Good job. Thank you.
Awesome. They the kids love it, don't they?
I'm sure
That's really good. I like that. That's something I
Give
can
me
do.
Wait, I wish I had a piece of candy.
Thank you.
I know.
So can I bookmark that?
Like,
Yes.
All right, mine is, I don't know, theirs goes like with everyone. Mine's pretty strictly musical, but I'll show it anyways because it's fast. If this thing will pull up. And go. Maybe it won't. There it goes. Okay. So what I use is a program called MuseScore. I use it a lot because it's free, and it's just a music notation software. Mr. Ballard and I use similar software for both of us because when we like write stand tunes and stuff out, I've done composition projects in the past where I've let kids write their own music, which is kind of like culminates all the stuff we've learned and stuff with rhythms and notes and make them write it out on their instrument. What I'd like to do eventually is have them typeset it on one of these, but the problem is the Chromebooks don't let you do that, but the MacBook Air card we have does. So at some point I may do this, but it's really, really easy just because you can write whatever you want, just like G8. And then I can go down here and then add another part. And then then the cool part is after you write it, you can play it back, and then it'll play what you wrote.
Is this one free?
This is free.
It is? I think I've heard it, but I didn't know it's free.
You can barely hear it on here, but yeah. So that's my thing. That's my technology. The end.
Good job, Chris.
Good game.
I thought it was awesome.
I'll go. I'm the only grown person in the room. I will just tell you that I use YouTube a lot.
But it's basically like a program that's trying to use.
I have to?
You have to type it. It doesn't work.
I would politely request it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part.
There you go.
I use YouTube a lot, and if you go into my YouTube account, I have probably 20 playlists, some that I never even look at anymore, but I have a playlist for voice science, where I show them the vocal cords, and we talk about breathing, and it shows all the parts for breathing, which is part of my essential standards with voice rate, pitch, all those kinds of things. Theater history, there are all kinds of virtual tours of theaters, all kinds of information of art and architecture in theater history. Mine, when I do mine, technical theater, even though we have a beautiful stage here, the hardware and that sort of thing backstage, it's all quite limited. But there's so much that you can show with technical theater about the backstage working. So I use YouTube a lot. And, once in a while when I have a little time left, then I put cute puppies on stairs up at the end. There are fun things there. And I often will have kids that'll come in and say, I saw this and it's totally related to my curriculum. And I always watch it first. I don't ever take requests. You all know that. But anyways, YouTube's a wonderful tool for me. It's basic. It's not complicated, but there's so much there for theater. I yield the rest of my time to Ms. Foster.
Trust me, mine's quick. Okay, okay.
YouTube's really the big thing. This won't work for my computer.
It's got a dog.
Yeah, but it's not the right dog. It shows how they make something.
Does it have the?
This is an apple, and mine's a
I
bell.
knew it.
But John, I also just Googled drama and literacy and tons of things popped up that I didn't realize.
I do this all.
I just think that I did the doggle. Yeah, I'm an actual bell.
That's pretty cool. Only a neighborhood copy. It's right here. I like that cover too.
It's just a skin.
Looks good.
Yeah, pre-ordered. I don't like anything normal. Come on. Well, if she won't go in, there she goes. So I will do that.
Okay, this is freerice.com. And I know a lot of the elementary schools use it, as well as a lot of our kids know about it. So whenever my kids get done with any particular project that we are working on, this is what I have them actually go and work on. And if you actually just go to freerice.com, it's a free website. You click on, at the very top, if I can get it to go up there, subjects. By clicking on the subjects, you get all these various topics down here. The biggest ones I have them work on, especially, is English, grammar. And then we also have math, where it does multiplication and basic. But the basic multiplication one is the one I really, really have them work on, especially with the grammar and multiplication. And they love actually doing, believe it or not, learning different languages, which helps also with their grammar and learning different languages and everything. But this one, believe it or not, it helps tremendously with their grammar. And I mean, if you actually click on grammar, it gives them actual questions, and they have to see, well, which is the correct one. And then if you get it correct, it'll tell you, okay, which is correct, yes or no, and then it tells you how much rice you gain. And the kids actually get into it, because they'll say, oh, I've got this much rice, I've got that much rice, and then they try to see how much rice they can gain by the end of it. And their big thing is it really going to somebody who, is getting rice? And I tell them, guys, it's not just about the rice, it's about you learning and really learning your grammar and trying to spell and do things properly. So, a really awesome, awesome site. And that's just one of the ones I use. I also use primarygames.com and coolmath.com, which are phenomenal sites as well, because they're fun games, but at the same time, they're actual sites that the kids have to really use their brains on. And it's not just math games, but it's also skill building games that they have to use. And they're only allowed those particular sites, and I use those on Fridays. Friday's called my Free Friday Day. They do everything right, and the kids really look forward to Free Friday because they know they have primary games and cool math. They think they're doing just games, but they're not. They're actually utilizing these skills through these particular websites by building their math skills and other skills as well. So I really do, Friday is my day, so the kids love it too. So that's what I've been doing.
Andrew does that. What music?
The last person in class.
He's the last person.
Yeah,
It's a jerk.
it's a jerk thing.
It's just Andrew does that.
Circle that
It's just being
Sometimes I was glared at him like a mother glared
well, and the joke is if someone else is trying to do it, then it's like two people laugh
Oh,
the biggest joke.
Now,
I'm blind.
I love to start applause in big rooms. I do that a lot. I love to start applause.
Have you ever tried to do that in the big room that didn't work?
Yeah. But most of the time it works because I just judge a lot.
Just so what you do is how you like to manipulate things.
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
But Andrew does that. That's the last one in class. He knows how to do it so loud. Yeah. He's learned that. He's learned that for some reason.
We do a lot of class.
I'm sorry, I should have put the door back on. You don't really need it because you
I
have a bell.
don't, yeah.
Yeah, you can just plug yours right in. Yours has a bell. You don't need it. No, she's got it.
I got it.
She's got a bell.
Okay,
No, he
Um,
doesn't.
I'm with Sally. I use YouTube a lot. I would much rather show them a video of a grease fire than to actually start one in the kitchen.
Yay, thank you.
Well, I'm sure they would rather experiment on their own. But I use that a lot for, the cooking demonstrations. We show videos of knife skills, the grease fires, old-timey, kitchen safety. with housing, videos of universal design, how things work in other countries, housing around the world, those kinds of things. Another
Global,
thing,
they love that. Global, that was, that's how you show
yeah,
the world.
it's not just all about McDowell County. I also use Polyvore, especially for the clothing and housing. With the interior design project, I try to give them choices, of how they want to present their idea for their dream room. They can do a shoebox. They can go on to Polyvore and create their own account, and they can go in and create mood boards. They can do their own design. I think it's good for them too to kind of pretend to shop so that they realize how much things cost. I've tried a couple of times giving them a budget where, they have, $1,000 to spend, how are you going to allocate that, and, what are your priorities? But this is really nice, so they can, even create their own wardrobe. They can go in and, pick different categories and click and drag and, create their own. And then it's easy for me too, because they just, share it with me or email it to me, and that cuts down on, all of the stuff I've got to accumulate and grade. Right.
That's cool. I started right through the last one. Is that a real?
I might be able to play Jeopardy, but I can't.
Very good.
Okay. This is probably not going to make me look that great because this art teacher's website is amazing, but I use it a lot, and especially for the elements and principles prezzies, which they love. So now that the kids can bring the Chromebooks to class, that helps me out, but the elective teachers here share a Mac cart, which is great, so we can use technology. So one thing that we do is we'll go through this, and I haven't yet had them create their own Prezi because we just recently started using this technology, but this is a better way to get in the elements and the principles, which is our vocabulary that we want to get them through. They like doing this because they can do it at their own pace, and they can take their own notes or just copy it in their own Word doc. Another thing that I like to use are these virtual tours of the museums around the world that they'll never get to go to. So a cool one are the caves in France, Alaska. They can actually just go to this visit inside and get a virtual tour through the different works of art from prehistoric to modern times. So this is a way that I like to utilize technology because I've had the opportunity to go to these caves, but many of our students will not. And it's really great because they can, this is in France, so you can French, you can translate it to English, and then there's questions at the end and things to look for and interpretation, and they can write about what the prehistoric people were drawing and what was the reason they were doing this in caves. And so I can do my art history, I can do my art theory.
Christy, isn't there a documentary about those kids?
Yes, there is. It's called, I cannot think of it right now. It was on Netflix for a while. Yeah, who asked me that? Casey? I can't remember. Something like The Dreams Within or Dreams Inside or something. I'll have to look it up. I can send you that. But it was a really good documentary. I tried showing it to the kids. It just bored them to tears because it was a documentary. But
they remember this because yesterday we were looking at a YouTube video about housing, and it showed the caves, and one of the kids would go, "Oh yeah, they painted on the walls."
Yeah, and that's significant and the beginning of art. So I try to at least highlight the beginning, somewhere in the Renaissance, and maybe something modern. But they do learn a lot in their social studies classes, and it ties into what we do. So that's a couple things I like. And then Pinterest is like my go-to for everything, because I can get art reflection worksheets where they can reflect and describe, interpret, analyze, and judge their artwork. There's lots of art self-assessments where I don't just do a rubric for their project. They can do their own self-assessing for their works and critique their own work or their group work. So Pinterest is amazing. It's made my life, and I'm sure yours, a lot easier with lesson plans. So those are a few things that I like to utilize in the classroom. Thank you.
Won't take me but a minute. Okay. Here is just an example of, I use, like a lot of people, I use a lot of YouTube. And when I do the lesson plan, I do it so that, and then I highlight the YouTube, and I highlight stuff from here. The kids really like things like this. This is let me see if I can click on that. It's working. I usually just click on this, and it brings the video up somewhere. Okay, not sure why it's not coming up. But anyway, they can see the video of the, and we study 21 countries in Latin America, and they also learn 21 countries and capitals. And it gets kind of boring if you try to get them to memorize. So there are songs that we use to learn those, and they really like doing those songs. And then here's one for a song for the Spanish alphabet. They like that a lot. And then I also use Google Classroom. Okay, sing. Okay, and let me find my Google
You
Classroom.
left your maracas here, Ron. You need to get
Yeah, I gotta get the maracas.
Please.
Here's Google Classroom. I had that brought up, but let's find it. I had everything set up where I could find it.
It's not that it's hot or cold. Exactly.
I'll keep looking. Is it my own?
Okay, here we go. Okay, here's Google Classroom, and each one of the grade levels has stuff that's appropriate for their grade level on here. Let's, for instance, open second period. And then here's the final thing that we did, starting down, and then the bottom of the, we started learning about the countries and stuff. There's there are geography activities. They click on these, and they go from easy to a little bit more complicated. And let's see, they just click, for example, on this one here.
French Guiana.
Okay. And they click on the correct.
Peru.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
You going to Peru?
Wednesday. Oh.
Awesome. That's
great.
My daughter's down there.
All right. And so anyway, and then they actually are able to locate the countries and capitals of Latin America. And then there's a unit on here as well for, I have on here classroom objects, colors, numbers, different things. And they just love to get on here and play these games and stuff. So it's pretty interactive and they like it.
Would you like to hear my 2 sentences?
Yes.
Dos cervezas, por favor.
Oh, muy importante.
Dos más cervezas, por favor.
And you have to have, when you're there, you have to have ceviche.
And then, ¿dónde está el baño?
But
Here, I'll be good. Here's the bathroom.
salad, you gotta have ceviche.
Ceviche?
Yeah, it's marinated fish or shrimp. It's delicious.
Ceviche.
Ceviche.
Tango hombre.
Yes.
I'm hungry. So say it again.
Ceviche.
Spell it.
CHBICHE. Ceviche.
And it's fish. easy.
That would be ceviche. Ceviche.
It's fish.
It's fish. It's raw. It's raw marinated fish, but the lemon juice cooks the fish.
We're going to Titicaca. And so,
Oh, the kids love saying that word.
oh, they do. It's the largest, largest navigable
They
language.
like
in Western Hemisphere.
They just sit on
Alright, so I use Whole Everywhere, especially in the health classroom, with sex ed, stuff like that. That's the best time to use this because it gives you.
Look, that one turns around.
It gives you, they can put on here anonymous answers, and so all it is, so they can either do it from their Chromebook or they can text with their phone to that number, and then it's just anonymous. So I don't see who it is, none of the class sees who it is, so if you ask a sex ed question, they automatically can send something in, a question that they have. So if I was to ask, what's a question that you have about STDs? They can go up there, ask the question. There's also a way of making sure that they cannot ask inappropriate things.
Okay.
And so you can have it where you have to approve each answer before it goes up on the board. And then they can they text leave to get out of it so they don't get any more messages from it, or you can freeze it, lock it, all that stuff. Easy enough.
Do you get inappropriate use of that?
I haven't yet.
Yeah.
But I kind of preface beforehand.
Is there, I'm just curious if there's a reason to use Poll Everywhere instead of, because I've used Google Forms before to do the same thing, and they can post questions and answers anonymously there. I was wondering if there's a reason.
That's just the one that I knew how to use actually before.
And they're trying to get us to get paper usage down and copy usage down. And with this Google Classroom, I have them submit stuff to me that they do.
What is
and that saves a lot
just a
of paper. Tremendous amount. And then if it's just I can check to see they did the assignment.
Am I the only person that
No, I'm
has
just
to
gonna
have
go
to
with this.
No, we don't need to.
And I figure I need to. I figure that at some point somebody's going to say, what's a good lesson plan that you've done with your principal? Well,
Are you telling me they're gonna come down and pay attention to what we teach, Sally?
no, they probably won't. But I'm certainly going to do either history or look up, I mean,
Well, and
I just
don't
need to
forget-
do it.
Christy's got the MacBook Air card.
Yeah.
So.
Alright, I went to a workshop yesterday it was just a PE conference, and one of the things that they talked about, I went to a technology, only because sometimes we struggle as elective teachers to incorporate technology or how we're going to get it in there. And this was a website that they have given me, and she went really fast, so I haven't explored it, but it's called Flubberoo, and it's through Google Drive, and apparently some teachers are actually doing this now, but it's an easy way. What you're going to do is you can create a test or an assessment, and it walks you through. But one of the things that I liked was you can insert videos, you can do a peer assessment, and also too it can grade your assessment, and it happens like in 30 seconds to a minute. You can have a student, say if you're in PE class, you're doing tennis, and you want them to complete an assessment, they can come over and do this assessment really easy, and then they can keep going. And also, too, you don't have to grade. Like if you're in the classroom, after they send it, you can actually make a key. I think of old time, the bubble key. You bubble it in and you put it through. It's the same thing. You make a key in Flubberoo. The first thing is a key, and then it grades your assessment. And you don't have to do anything. And then it also gives you feedback. It tells you which students are struggling with your standards, which ones showed growth, which ones did we meet that standard, was it excelling? And so it's just immediate feedback for you as a teacher to see how you're doing as far as assessing your students.
And what's the site again?
Flubberoo, and it's sort of like the way that they describe it to me. I have notes on it as well. You have to do an ad. You have to add on.
It's actually in Google Forms.
Yeah.
You can create your own test, and then Flubberoo is the add-on that grades it for you and do some other things with it. So it works really well. I've used it several times.
It's spelled Flubbaroo, and it's just, I really liked it. I liked it because you could even do a video, and they can look at it, and then you can have questions in regards to that video of how a person is performing, either a peer assessment or what you did wrong. Like maybe, I'm just saying, for example, if you're doing a skit, so what are some things that you noticed that this group could have improved on? Right.
And you can put your standards on there also, like attach it to it. That way you see, like maybe everybody's missing standard 6 or whatever it is. So that's something maybe you have to go back over. And so like for us in PE, we know like with our nutrition unit that we're doing right now, maybe there was one area that we did not hit as well. We got to go back through to hit it. And it's also good for like when administration comes in to ask you what standards you're hitting, you're able to show that and show that you've assessed that in some way.
I just thought it was a great tool for us to use as maybe an assessment because we have so little time. And that is a frustration.
I assume everybody knows what ASW is, Standard 6, that we're opting out of right now. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But we're opting out, have been for 2 years. Well, most of the rest of North Carolina is not opting out, and have been doing it for 2 years. I don't know how we're getting out of it, but I went to a theater workshop, and I got a lot of good strategies, which I'll share sometime when we start to think it's going to come back to us again. But what you post with technology to send to them can be something as simple as at the beginning of your unit on tennis, you give them a pre-test, and at the end of your unit on tennis, you give them the same test again, even to show their progress. But then you have to upload that for students. But you have to do it 6 times a year. And if you only have 5 standards, you have to do 1 for each standard, and then 1 standard twice. And it's going to be a big deal when it comes to us. And these websites are the way to do it.
And I just thought that would be a simple way. And it gives you a graph too of students performing, those types of things. I really enjoyed it. So.
How did you spell that again? I'm sorry.
FLUD.
By the way, that's math session.
And it's in Google Docs.
I'm sorry.
I need to get back and look at the notes again while it's
Thank you.
We may be going back to ours, I'm not sure yet.
He's going to do a little add-on. He's used a little bit to kind of show.
To piggyback on that, you started out in your Google, click on New, come down here, click More, go to Google Forms. Okay, select Google Forms, and that opens up this, and this is where you type in your question. You can choose all this stuff here. Only one response, shuffle the question order. So if they're taking the quiz at the same time, you can do that. Automatic collect respondent's username. show progress bar at the bottom of the page. So you type in your question. You can do paragraph, multiple choice, scale, grid, date, time, all sorts of things. And then options. Down here at the bottom, you got some other things you can select and do from. This automatically creates the response form. It's a spreadsheet, so this will tell you the name, information. A couple good things. Up here is where you do the add-on, and that's Flubberoo here. Grades are down here. It will tell you the points, the average, low scoring questions. This is really good. Did I write a bad question? Did they misinterpret it? So down here at the bottom, it will tell you the percent that got it correct. So if you want to change that, you can go back when you set up to grade it. You look at that question and say, that one's too low, I'm going to throw it out. So you can go back to Flubberoo, eliminate that question, regrade it. 30 seconds later, you got your new grades. So it worked really well. Any questions? That was quick.
And I think that one of the other things you can do is insert, again, images, like a picture or a video, and ask questions related to that as an assessment, you know, just to create performance and those types of things. So that's really good.
Can you upload a video you make
Yes,
yourself?
that's what she did. She uploaded a video and she really messed it up, so then they had to correct what she was doing wrong. Like hers was passing, and so she wanted them to identify what she was doing wrong. So I think that it's just a really quick, easy assessment. Like you could do like 3 questions with the video, and be done. That's interesting.
It gives a lot. You can do image, video,
Yeah.
page break, header, it gives a lot. Grade, scales, check boxes, choose a list.
You have to, I'm sure that you're going to have to play with it in order to understand it. Sometimes, you know, we have not a lot of time to do that.
What I'd like, Chrissy, I was just thinking that, I mean, having never brought the Chromebook into my classroom or dealt with the card or anything, I mean, you and I could get together, even with just one grade level or whatever, and do something that's art and architecture, and is also theater, Greek theater, architecture, and history kind of together, and then like you could mentor me in the classroom as these kids are using and navigating their Chromebooks. And I don't know.
There's
I mean,
only
just,
22 on that map card, and
okay, I'm always
they
scared
could.
to try.
We can always tell them to bring them to class. I saw that PE did that the other day. Did they all do that? Mine are bringing them anyway.
There's one in my classroom right now. I don't know what I should do.
See, and the good thing with that particular number 6 is with my EverFi, every time they do a module, they have to do a pre-test, they have to do a post-test. Pre-test, post-test. So for every module they go through, they have to pass everything with a 70 or above. And then once they finish all the modules, they get a certificate. So in essence, I'm already complying with that particular element by doing EverFi. So I'm already covered by doing what I'm doing with EverFi.
What do you mean covered?
I'm already doing pre-test and post-test.
So that, well, what you're gonna do when you do the
No, what I have been, yeah, what I have been doing
I don't know.
with that standard, I have been doing that.
Yeah, it's up to you, whatever you like.
The one website that I like, it's called Coach's Eye. It allows you to record your students' movements, and this may not pertain to most of you, but as for PE, I'm doing archery next week, so I can basically shoot this in slow motion, break it down, and let the kids see it, and they can download the app on their phone where I can have their partner record them at the same time, so I'm not having to record every single kid. And they can look back at it, make sure their technique's correct, use it for basketball, softball, throwing, football, anything like that. But I'm just going to play this video. It pretty much just shows you everything that it's about. So it's really good just because it does give that instant feedback, and you can break down, you know, the little technicalities of each motion or movement that you need to do to, you know, accomplish a good shot or throw or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to start using.
Do you have to buy it, like where it says buy now, or can
You can, or I just flipped through my phone just a few minutes ago, and there's probably 10 or 15 free apps that do the same exact thing.
Oh, okay.
So that was just